by Justin Allgaier in advance of this weekend's action at Dover. We're going to go straight into questions, Justin, and our first question is going to come from Chris Estrada from NBC Sports. Go ahead with your question, Chris.
Thank you, Justin. Thanks for joining us. Over the course of your career, shorter tracks like Dover have been some of your strongest tracks, but in going from a standard asphalt short track to a concrete one like, say, Dover, or throwing it out there, Bristol, does some of the things you normally do to find a rhythm on a shorter track change, and how?
For me, I've been lucky. Concrete racetracks have always been good to me. I've always felt really comfortable at short tracks, but especially concrete short tracks. And I don't know why that is. It definitely has some tendencies that I think asphalt does not. Carl Edwards and I had this discussion years ago because that was what Carl seemed to like as well. And I don't know if that's just an ode to kind of how we grew up racing or just find that comfort level. But, Dover and Bristol both are racetracks that from day one, I felt really comfortable at, and I feel like have been good for me personally. To have the success that we've had at Dover, number one is a testament to our team. Our guys have done a fantastic job at preparing race cars that are capable of going there winning. And I think when you have those cars, you have to make the most of those opportunities. And so, for us this weekend is no different. We're going to take the best car we can possibly bring, make the adjustments we feel like we need for a place like Dover to be competitive and be successful. And hopefully we make those right decisions, because when it's all said and done with no practice, no qualifying, it's really difficult to make the right decision, without having that information. Times change, cars change, tires are depending on how they're built, even though the codes might be the same, depending on which batch you end up with, there's little differences, and we're not talking about much. I mean, when we're dealing with setup changes, you're literally talking about the difference in just the finest of details, and I think that's what's going to be the most important this weekend is making sure that we have all of our I's dotted and our T's crossed.
Thank you.
Our next question is going to come from Marty Sikala. Go ahead with your question, Marty.
Thanks, Matt. Hey, Justin. Thanks for the time. Hope you're well. So learned through reporters today that NASCAR has informed teams that masks are optional starting this weekend at Dover, and they still got to be worn inside, like haulers and buildings. Just what's your take on it?
Well, obviously, I'm really happy with the direction that we've gone from, the start of the pandemic last year until now, to be one of the first sports to open back up, to get, on track activity going again and do it in a very safe manner. I mean, I feel like, yes, we've had some things that have happened where people have had to quarantine and have been out and things of that nature. But, for the most part, I feel like it's been pretty unanimous across the board that I feel like NASCAR has done a good job. The teams, the drivers, everybody that's involved has done a good job in trying to make sure that we're staying as healthy as we can. And it's been difficult. It's obviously changed life a lot, through the pandemic, but even after the pandemic of making sure that we stay healthy, especially as a driver, I think it's super important. The research is showing that this is the direction that we're going in. And so, I hope that the teams are still, doing their part. I know our team at Junior Motorsports has done a great job with it. The drivers, everybody, I think as long as we do our part, we're outside, we're socially distancing. I think that it's exciting to see things getting back closer to normal. I don't know that we'll ever go back fully to what normal was before the pandemic. But the research is showing and the science is showing that this is the direction that we're headed, and so I'm excited that we're able to get back to that point, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Wanted to ask here as well, Dover this weekend, you've got 2 wins there in the Xfinity Series. From what I hear, you're going to start in the low line. Then once the tires get used up, the high line could be expected, speaking with Tyler Reddick about that. Is that what you expect too for the Xfinity Series?
Yeah, I think on Saturday it's a little bit different than Sunday, only for the simple fact that, I think generally there's usually a little bit less rubber down on Saturday, even by the end of the race. I feel like we rubbered the track in pretty well, but, on the Cup side, they're having the benefit of having our rubber down. We're going to be on the the general rubber from the ARCA series when we start our race. So that will tend to have some challenges with it for the first, at least, handful of laps until that rubber gets kind of pulled up and we get our rubber down. The general tends to have a little bit more grip. So I think it's going to be really easy to get a false sense of security over the first, 25 or 30 laps. If your car is balanced well, if not, it tends to make your cars kind of feel like they're maybe a little bit, it tends to give us a little bit more front grip when we're on the general rubber. So, managing the grip is going to be important. I do feel like, though, over the past, number of years, we've seen the groove move up and move towards the top. And, there's a fine balance there. I love moving up and going up to the top. I feel like it's a great way to especially if your car is on the tighter side, it's a great way to manage your speed, but you're also chewing those tires up. The concrete surface up there is pretty abrasive. So when there's no rubber down, I think, it's risk versus reward, and you can burn your tires up pretty easily. But I do foresee our series in the Xfinity series, I do foresee us moving around some. But I think especially at the beginning of the race, the bottom is going to be the preferred groove, and just managing it, I think is going to be important.
Thank you, Justin. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Our next question is going to come from Bob Pockris. Go ahead with the question, Bob.
Yeah, Justin, I was just wondering, are you going to have a backup driver or somebody on standby this weekend? Do you have plans in case you do need to get home?
That's a great question, actually. It's been a little interesting, especially since this week we had a little bit of a nervous scare that, we thought maybe the baby was coming a little bit early. Luckily, it was a false alarm. But so we've been pretty lucky in the fact that we've kept relationships with some drivers for backups from COVID times, and then obviously our Hendrick Motorsports teammates. They won't be at the racetrack yet, but it's depending on what happens. I think it's going to be really interesting. But I think on the flip side of that, realistically, we'll know on Saturday, long before the start of the race, I think, if something were to happen, and if something does start in that process that she's going to have to go to the hospital, there's probably not a whole lot of there's not a whole lot of time that I'm going to get heading back, even if I could, before the end of the race. So we'll see what happens. We definitely tried to put some plans in place to see what the options are, but at this point, I think it's go as normal. And hope that things work out in our favor.
And I mean, obviously, your options are different this week because it's a Dash for Cash race compared to next week,
right? Yeah, I mean, that obviously makes a bigger difference. But like I said, we've been lucky to have some drivers that I know that they've used Zane Smith a lot in the past as far as being kind of our carryover guy. So if they need to get somebody up to Dover on race day, that's still an option. Obviously it's not the ideal situation, but we've been very lucky to have the relationship with the different drivers that we've had over the past that have driven our cars. We've got a lot of great talented race car drivers within our shop. So, there's definitely options, but at this point we'll just have to wait and see, and hopefully we don't have to use that option.
I assume Dale Jr. is not an option.
I would assume so as well, but
okay.
Crazy things have happened. So at this point, no, I don't think he plans on getting in. But if we had to get in that situation, I guess technically he has an insert. He has all the things that he would need to drive one of our cars. So he possibly could, but I don't see that happening.
Okay, thank you. You just mentioned drivers in your shop, so he was one who I thought of. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Our next question is going to come from Daryl Kinsey Jr. Go ahead with the question, Daryl.
Hey, Justin, Daryl Kinsey Jr., WBGR Sports. The summer for Xfinity Series is usually dominated by the road courses, and then next week you guys have COTA coming up. How challenging is adding that facility to an already tough road course schedule going to be for you?
Well, I love our road course schedule, first and foremost. I've been lucky enough to have some success on road courses. I've really enjoyed the road racing style that the Xfinity Series especially has to offer, but all of NASCAR. I mean, there's not a road course that I've watched in any of our three series that I haven't just thoroughly been enthralled by and love the action. So COTA is going to be an interesting one. I think when you add something new like that and something different that is I remember the first time we went to Road America, and the difficulties of that as a series and as a driver. And I think that first year we had like 4 hours of practice. So we're going to Coda, and I think we get 50 minutes on the Xfinity Series side. So, not ideal circumstances, but on the other hand, I think it's going to make for a great race because you're going to have a lot of unknowns, and you're gonna find things out kind of as they happen and as they unfold. And Coda is obviously a beautiful facility, and they've done a great job with building a racetrack that is truly special. I mean, it's a world-class facility. So to take our stock cars there, to have an opportunity to go try to win at Coda is going to be really, really special to all of us. And I think that the teams and the drivers have all been preparing as best they can without having the ability to put a car on the racetrack. And I think that's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Our next question is going to come from Ashley McCubbin. Go ahead with your question, Ashley.
Justin, thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
Thur Motorsports is going to enter this weekend with a 75% chance at getting the Dash for Cash bonus. What's it going to be like racing your teammates for that bonus?
Well, we did it last week, not necessarily for the bonus, but 3 of the 4 of us were battling on that last restart there, and we had all 4 cars inside the top 7. So it's not uncommon for our team at Junior Motorsports to have at least 3, if not all 4 of the cars up in that top 5, 6, 7 cars. And I feel good about our program. I feel good with where we're at as a race team. I'm excited that yesterday happened and Noah's able to be back in for the Dash for Cash. They've been on a hot streak, and they've won 3 in a row now. So they have the opportunity to go and win that 4th one and close out the season with 100% of those. Josh has done a fantastic job as a rookie to come into this series and into this sport and to do the things that he's done is really impressive. And obviously last week we had a great battle for the win. So, I'm excited for that. Brandon Jones and Joe Gibbs Racing, there are no slouches, and they're going to be on their A game as well. And we're going to have a heck of a battle for the Dash for Cash. But, I think the most important piece of all of this is, hats off to Xfinity and what they do for this series with the Dash for Cash program. I mean, I don't think a lot of our fans realize, how important this is to these race teams and reinvesting and getting back into making sure that the program is thriving and making our programs better. I know our team at Junior Motorsports, that's a big shot in the arm, and it's a great resource to be able to help improve our program and push ourselves and our team better. So, it's super cool that we have 75% of it, but if we don't come home with that Dash for Cash, we're going to feel really deflated that we weren't able to bring it home since we have that many cars in the Dash for Cash.
How do you balance racing your teammates hard for the win in that situation and not possibly going overboard and having something unfortunate happen?
Well, I mean, it happens. It's happened in the past. It's probably going to happen at some point in the future. But on the other hand, I think our drivers right now at Junior Motorsports, I've got a great relationship with all 3 of our other teammates. Adding in Miguel and Sam as well on that front, we all really have a tight knit, cohesive group of drivers right now. And I think for us, it's we know we're going to be battling each other, right? But I think when you step back and look at it, and Noah and I have had this conversation because we've had our battles, and unfortunately, it's taken us both out of positions to be able to win races and put ourselves in bad positions. And so, I think you have to look at it from a broader scope, right? If something happens between us, not only does that take 1 shot away from you, but it takes 2 shots away from our organization of going to victory lane. So, we have a lot of respect for each other. We've learned a lot in the last 2 years over how to race and how to be competitive. But you know what? At the end of the day, when it comes down to it, and it comes down to those late race runs, you got to do what you got to do. And we all are on the same page with where things stand, and we got to push ourselves to try to go to victory lane. That's our goal. That's our job. And, we got to push. But on the other hand, I think, all of us in the back of our minds have that teammate in our thoughts, and how do we pass our teammate without having to use them up or put them in dangerous ways. So I think I'm from my standpoint, I'm really excited about getting there this weekend, and I really firmly believe we could finish 1, 2, 3, 4 as an organization. I think that would be really awesome.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Good deal. Well, Justin, thank you for taking the time to join us this weekend, and good luck with everything at home and at Dover. Take care.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys very much.
Absolutely.